Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another Teacher Joseph podcast. Well, today I want to tell you about a school teacher whose name is Joshua Sutcliffe, and he's been fired from his school for misgendering a pupil. Let me tell you what misgendering is. So, if you, for example, are teaching and a student comes to you who is changing his or her sex to become a girl or a boy, if you persistently refer to them as the wrong gender, then you'll get yourself into trouble very quickly. So basically, at this school, there's a boy becoming a girl or a girl becoming a boy, and they've changed the pronoun. They no longer want to be known as him. Perhaps they want to be known as her. Or maybe it's a girl becoming a boy. She no longer wants to be known as her, and she wants to be addressed as him. Well, in our school system now, that's perfectly acceptable. And if the teacher has a problem with that, or tries to harass the pupil by referring to them as the wrong gender, then of course the teacher will get fired. Now, this is clearly a very sensitive thing, and when you're dealing with children, it's something which can go wrong very quickly because the child might not understand that maybe you've just forgotten the gender, or you're so accustomed to calling him he that in one moment you accidentally refer to the old gender. It's a bit of a problem. So anyway, this teacher, his problem was not really only because of gender, it's because the teacher had a very strong religious idea about what was okay and what wasn't. So let me just read the story to you here. It says, a math teacher failed to separate the teacher from the preacher when he allegedly misgendered a transgender pupil repeatedly and inappropriately shared his religious beliefs in the classroom. It goes on to say that Joshua Sutcliffe, 32, behaved in a way that negatively affected pupils on multiple occasions. And then it says that the teacher took legal action against the Department of Education or against the school itself. And so this has been going on for a while, but then the teacher went on national TV and spoke about this. And of course, the education department had a big problem with this because it meant that he may have unintentionally made it easier for people to identify the pupil. His lawyer said that the teacher was entitled to freedom of speech and not to be forced to say something he didn't agree with. The lawyer also said that there was no evidence that the pupil in question had an interest to have his preferred pronouns used. And then he says there's no ethical justification for this. In other words, why should we? Why should Mr. Sutcliffe have to use different pronouns? But apparently it's much worse than this because this teacher, Mr. Sutcliffe, apparently he's also shared views that same-sex marriage was wrong. And he also showed pupils a video about masculinity, which stated that passive men don't protect, defend, or provide. This isn't the first time this teacher has been in trouble. He apparently uploaded a video to his YouTube in his previous job about Islam being false, and that also got him into trouble. So there's a big issue with this, and this hearing is continuing. Mr. Sutcliffe says he has a perfect right to call people what he wants, and he goes on to say that his pupils regularly interact with him on social media. And his lawyer said if a child socially transitions in school, in other words, if the child is transgendered, if they are accepted and treated as really the opposite sex, then that creates a demand for that child to have medical treatment, and that schools with the best intentions could actually be harming the pupils. So you see, in a democratic society like ours, children, even children, have a right to be who they want to be. For example, if you have a class with me on italki and I turn up one day wearing a hijab, carrying a basket of apples over my arm to give out to all the little children I meet in the street, it would in theory be not breaking the law, and in fact would be celebrated. It sounds strange, doesn't it? But these kind of laws are there to protect everybody, and nobody has a right to interfere with that. So this misconduct hearing against Mr. Sutcliffe is continuing. It's very complex. I mean, I suppose I can see both sides, but I don't believe that religion should be brought into schools. I think that's definitely wrong. But the idea of a child being able to change their gender socially just by turning up one day as a girl at school, or as a boy, it seems odd for me. But, well, that's probably just about my age, I suppose. That's the way the world is now. And in the UK, at least, people's identity and gender are celebrated, and you're not allowed to say anything publicly against that. So, yeah, very, very interesting. I'll be very interested to see what happens. I mean, I'm sure they will tell him that religion has no place in the classroom. That part I probably fully agree with. But the child being transgendered, I'm not sure about that one. I think that's someone else's problem. So I'll wait to see what happens. Okay, that's it from me. I hope you've enjoyed this. Talk soon. Goodbye.